First, time for the best ideas are free with Ben Young from bwagy.com, also on Twitter as well. Good morning, Ben.
Good morning.
And nice to have you back, because of course it's been a few Mondays where we've had long weekends.
Yeah, we had anniversary weekend and Waitangi Day.
Yeah. As good as those long weekends were, it's always nice to have these ideas, though, at the beginning of the week. And today we're talking about big data.
Yeah. So it's a conversation on every VC's lips at the moment in the States. And essentially, big data is managing massive data sets. So, for example, there's a company called DataSift, and they suck in every tweet that happens all around the world, and they let you analyse it. So you can analyse by country, demographic.
What are they called again?
DataSift.
DataSift, okay.
Yeah. So they let you pull that data in and analyse it.
Yeah.
And so big data is just essentially, as it's described, finding a massive data set and putting some analysis on top of it.
And then selling that as a service.
Yeah, selling those insights in terms of selling it back to companies or selling it back to the government or, interested parties. Like there's this other company called AgeTech, and what they do is they pull together siloed medical databases in terms of, especially in the States, if you visit 6 different hospitals, chances are those databases don't talk to one another.
Yeah.
So what they do is they provide a little layer on top to pull the data out of each of those databases, and then they let employers or health insurance companies or the state look at those databases so they can pull all that data together.
Okay, cool.
Which is quite interesting. And someone has built another application which sits on top of that, and what it does is it builds a curve of what is the average person covered for, and what is the the average compensation.
Yeah.
In terms of, if I manage a large company and I'm buying too much health insurance, and buying too many benefits when the reality is I only need to have half of those to cover most of the problems that my employees will have.
It helps measure risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
IBM did one where they looked at editing on Wikipedia in terms of what kind of articles people were editing, and then they visualised that with a colour band. And that was quite interesting, especially when you look at 2 or 3 different colour bands.
Yeah.
In terms of, from that you can tell the profile of a user.
Huh.
And so basically that sucked in, let's say, 10,000 pieces of data, turned it into kind of this colour band which allows for easy analysis, rather than trying to compare those 10,000 pieces of data against another.
Right, cool.
So yeah, it's all quite interesting.
Big data.
Big data. And I've got one more example, which is very, very cool. And Google's a big proponent of big data because, well, they've got a lot.
Yeah.
And
probably the most.
yeah, probably the most. Although, I was reading that Walmart, they've been collecting, purchasing data for like 20 years or something. The amount of data they hold is 167 times bigger than the Library of Congress in the States.
Okay, and that's all just about consumer behaviour, no doubt.
Yeah. So they measure 1 million transactions every hour.
Really?
Yeah. And they've got all this data sitting there, and they've been trying to figure out what they can do with it. It's an incredible amount of data.
Yeah.
Find out that when people are buying what the average purchase is, what are impulse purchases, all that kind of stuff. But the one that I wanted to talk about was Google Maps and meth labs. So what the scientist did is he got a whole lot of crime data in California, and he overlaid it with Google Maps, and from that he could predict where a meth lab had started or was going to start based on the types of crimes that were happening around.
Wow.
In terms of, if there was a neighbourhood that had no break-ins, then suddenly they had one, say, every 3 weeks for 4 months.
Yeah.
That suggested that a meth lab was opening up.
In the area.
Yeah. Which is really, really interesting.
Yeah.
Clearly the issue with big data is, how do we collect it? And quite often people are collecting it, but then how do we store it? I've talked to a few programmers who work in this field, and they say the big issue is that people can't store it. Like some of these big companies are only storing 30 days of sales data, then just deleting it.
Why? Because it's just too much?
Yeah, they just can't store it.
Even though storage is so cheap these days.
Yeah, it's still a lot of data though. Like I think Walmart's data was 2.5 petabytes of data.
Oh, wow, yeah. Once you get into the petabytes.
Yeah. It's not like just a couple of hard drives. It's a couple of thousand hard drives.
Yeah.
But so yeah, it's quite interesting that they can't hold the data. But one of the other things which Google has been able to do is map where colds are on the rise based on searches.
Yeah, flu trends.
Yeah, flu trends. So they can see that, a whole lot of people have significantly started searching in an area for those kind of symptoms, and they can predict there's going to be a small flu outbreak.
And that's in New Zealand as well. They launched that in New Zealand a couple of years back. I think that's google.com/flu trends, I think.
I believe they've discontinued the public accessibility.
Oh, really?
It could still be there.
Because they're worried about how the public use it, or whether it's to freak people out.
I'm not sure. I think they're just refining it.
It still seems to be there.
Yeah. Oh, excellent.
Yeah. They've got a worldwide map there. If you go google.org /flu trends, and if we click on New Zealand, flu activity minimal here at the moment, as you'd expect. And it shows obviously the peak. Sort of last year was in June, July.
Interesting. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But, so interesting how we can, if someone's collecting all this data, we can suck it all in and put some little analysis on top and provide some valuable insights.
Yeah.
Like never before have we held so much data on us.
No, indeed.
As a population.
That's what the globalization of data has enabled. Yeah. Right? Big data there, so that's very, very cool. From Ben Young, you can find out more at bwagy.com, continue the conversation there, or on Twitter as well. Thanks very much, Ben.
Cheers.